Emmylou Harris has long been regarded as one of the defining voices of American roots music, a singer whose work helped shape the modern language of country, folk, and Americana. Over decades, she built a career rooted in emotional honesty, collaboration, and an unusual willingness to evolve without abandoning her artistic core. Now, in the later stage of her life, she has reflected more openly on people who influenced her journey, including her friendship with John Denver. Their connection, often discussed by fans but rarely addressed in depth by Harris herself, is remembered not as a dramatic story but as a quiet meeting of musical spirits. In revisiting those memories, she speaks less about celebrity and more about trust, respect, and shared values. Her reflections reveal how deeply personal relationships in music can become, especially when they are shaped by creativity rather than publicity, and how certain voices from the past continue to echo through her life and work. Roots in Alabama and a childhood shaped by resilience. Emmylou Harris was born in Birmingham, Alabama, and grew up in a military family that moved often, exposing her to both discipline and uncertainty from an early age. Her father served as a Marine Corps officer and spent time as a prisoner of war during the Korean conflict, an experience that left a lasting impression on the family's sense of endurance and emotional strength. Harris has often been described as calm and composed, traits that can be traced back to a childhood where stability had to be created internally rather than relied upon externally. This upbringing also taught her adaptability, a quality that would later define her musical career. Even as a child, she showed interest in storytelling and performance, though music was not yet her central focus. Instead, she absorbed the emotional textures of her environment, learning early how hardship and hope often coexist. Those formative years became the emotional foundation for much of her later songwriting and interpretation. Academic path and the pull toward folk music. Harris eventually attended the University of North Carolina at Greensboro, where she studied drama and initially considered a career in the performing arts outside of music. Yet even during her studies, she found herself increasingly drawn to the folk revival movement that was spreading across the United States. Artists such as Joan Baez, Bob Dylan, and Pete Seeger became major influences, not only for their musical styles, but for their ability to treat songs as instruments of meaning and social reflection. The folk scene emphasized storytelling stripped of excess, something that resonated deeply with her developing artistic sensibilities. Over time, her interest in music began to outweigh her academic path, leading her to step away from formal education and pursue performance more directly. That decision marked a turning point, one that shifted her from observer to participant in a rapidly evolving cultural moment. It was not a sudden leap, but a gradual surrender to a calling she could no longer ignore. Greenwich Village years and the struggle for recognition. In the late 1960s, Harris moved to New York City and entered the vibrant but competitive world of Greenwich Village folk clubs. The environment was both inspiring and demanding, filled with young artists chasing limited opportunities while performing in intimate coffee houses for modest audiences. Like many musicians of her generation, she balanced artistic ambition with financial instability, taking on small jobs while trying to establish a foothold in the industry. These years were marked by persistence rather than immediate success, but they were also crucial in shaping her identity as a performer. Her debut album, released during this period, showed early signs of her vocal clarity and interpretive strength, though it did not yet bring widespread recognition. Despite setbacks, she continued performing and refining her craft, learning how to connect with audiences through emotional authenticity rather than spectacle. The village scene, with all its uncertainty and creative energy, became a proving ground for her future career. Early recording efforts and personal challenges. Her first album introduced Emmylou Harris as a promising voice, but it did not immediately establish her as a major figure in the industry. The recording reflected both potential and inexperience, capturing a young artist still searching for her definitive sound. At the same time, her personal life was undergoing significant changes, including marriage and motherhood, which added layers of responsibility during an already demanding period. These experiences influenced her perspective on music, deepening her understanding of vulnerability and resilience. While struggling to balance domestic life and artistic ambition, she continued to refine her identity as a singer who could interpret songs with emotional precision. The early 1970s were not defined by fame, but by transition, as she moved between roles and responsibilities while quietly building the foundation for her future success. These years, though difficult, helped her develop the emotional maturity that would later distinguish her performances and collaborations. The transformative partnership with Graham Parsons. A major turning point in Harris's career came when she met Graham Parsons, a pioneering figure in country rock whose artistic vision would profoundly influence her trajectory. Parsons recognized her vocal talent and invited her to collaborate, leading to a partnership that was brief in duration but immense in impact. Together, they worked on projects that blended traditional country elements with contemporary rock sensibilities, helping to define a new musical direction that would later be recognized as foundational to Americana. Their harmonies were marked by emotional depth and intuitive balance, with Harris providing clarity and grace to Parsons' more raw and exploratory style. After Parsons' tragic death in 1973, Harris experienced both personal grief and artistic resolve. She often described him as a guiding presence in her early career, someone who encouraged her to trust her instincts. His influence remained with her long after his passing, shaping her commitment to artistic honesty and collaboration, solo breakthrough, and rising recognition. Following the loss of Parsons, Harris stepped into her solo career with renewed determination. Signing with Reprise Records, she released a series of albums that quickly established her as a leading figure in country and folk-influenced music. Her breakthrough came with records that blended traditional material, contemporary songwriting, and her own interpretive style, allowing her to bridge generational and genre divides. Songs performed in her voice often carried a sense of emotional clarity that made them feel newly written, even when they were covers. As her reputation grew, she became known not just as a singer, but as a curator of musical storytelling, capable of selecting material that suited her expressive strengths. Her early success was not based on spectacle, but on consistency and emotional intelligence, qualities that distinguished her from many of her contemporaries. This period solidified her place in the evolving landscape of American music. Collaboration, the hot band, and expanding influence. One of Harris's defining strengths has always been her commitment to collaboration. She assembled the Hot Band, a group of highly skilled musicians who helped shape her sound during the mid to late 1970s. Among them were talented instrumentalists and songwriters who contributed to her expanding musical identity. Rather than positioning herself as a solitary star, Harris built her career around collective creativity, allowing different musical voices to interact within her work. She also formed notable collaborations with other major artists, including Dolly Parton and Linda Ronstadt, creating harmonies that became iconic in country music history. These partnerships demonstrated her ability to adapt across styles while maintaining her distinctive vocal presence. Through duets and shared projects, she helped bridge gaps between traditional country, folk, and mainstream rock audiences. Her openness to collaboration became a defining characteristic, reinforcing the idea that music for her was less about individual recognition and more about shared expression, artistic evolution, and the risk of reinvention. As her career progressed into the 1990s, Harris continued to evolve artistically, refusing to remain confined to expectations set by her earlier success. One of the most significant shifts came with her exploration of more atmospheric and experimental production styles, which introduced a darker, more introspective tone to her music. This period marked a departure from traditional country arrangements and demonstrated her willingness to take creative risks. Working with innovative producers, she embraced textures that emphasized mood and emotional space, allowing her voice to inhabit new sonic environments. These artistic decisions broadened her audience, attracting listeners from alternative and indie music circles while challenging longtime fans to hear her in a new light. Rather than repeating established formulas, she consistently pursued growth, even when it meant stepping away from commercial predictability. This willingness to reinvent herself helped sustain her relevance across decades. Humanitarian work and life. Beyond the stage, beyond music, Harris has dedicated significant energy to humanitarian causes, particularly animal welfare. She founded a rescue organization focused on saving dogs from euthanasia, reflecting her long-standing compassion for vulnerable living beings. Her activism extends to broader concerns as well, including environmental protection and support for veterans and disaster relief efforts. Unlike public figures who treat advocacy as an extension of branding, Harris's involvement is often described as quiet and consistent. She tends to avoid spectacle, preferring direct action and long-term commitment. This approach mirrors her musical philosophy, which emphasizes substance over performance. Her humanitarian work reveals another dimension of her personality, one grounded in empathy and responsibility. It also demonstrates how her artistic values extend into her personal ethics, creating a unified sense of purpose that connects her public and private life. Marriage, family, and the complexity of personal life. Harris's personal life has included 3 marriages, each contributing to different phases of her journey. Her relationships with fellow musicians and producers often blended professional and personal dynamics, reflecting the interconnected nature of her world. These marriages brought both fulfillment and difficulty, particularly as she balanced family life with a demanding touring schedule. Motherhood added another layer of complexity, requiring difficult decisions about stability and career priorities. Throughout these experiences, she developed a reflective understanding of relationships, acknowledging both their importance and their challenges. Rather than presenting her personal history in idealized terms, she has often spoken with honesty about change and transition. These experiences influenced her emotional depth as an artist, shaping the way she interprets themes of love, separation, and resilience in her music. Reflections on John Denver and a closing tribute. In reflecting on John Denver, Harris describes not a distant celebrity but a genuine artistic companion whose values aligned closely with her own. She remembers him as authentic, grounded, and deeply connected to nature and kindness. Their musical interactions, though limited, were marked by effortless harmony and mutual understanding. creating moments that felt natural rather than constructed. Denver's sudden death in 1997 left a lasting emotional impact on her, a loss she still acknowledges with quiet sadness. Yet she also emphasizes his enduring legacy, particularly his environmental advocacy and his ability to communicate sincerity through song. For Harris, speaking about him now is less about revisiting the past and more about honoring a shared artistic spirit. She concludes her reflections with gratitude, recognizing that certain musical connections continue to resonate long after they end. In doing so, she frames memory itself as a form of music, one that continues to play beneath the surface of time, shaped by voices that never fully fade.